everyone, welcome back. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something I bet you're all pretty familiar with, social media.
You know it, but we're going to be looking at it in a bit of a different way.
Exactly, because believe it or not, social media can be a powerful tool for learning English.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to think that just by scrolling through our feeds, we can actually pick up new vocabulary and grammar.
And even slang, those everyday expressions that you won't necessarily find in a textbook.
Right. We found some research that suggests learners who use social media for English actually pick up those everyday expressions like slang 30% faster.
Really? Wow, that's impressive. And speaking of fast, did you know that video-based learning can boost your listening skills 37% faster than traditional methods?
It's mind-blowing, right? Social media is a goldmine for English learners. It's like this immersive environment where you're constantly exposed to authentic language in a fun and engaging way.
Yeah, it's so different from the structured lessons you get in a classroom. It's real, raw, and constantly evolving.
I love that. So let's dive into some specific examples. First up, let's talk about decoding the language of the internet. Because let's be honest, sometimes it feels like we're learning a whole new language with all the slang and hashtags flying around.
Right. It can definitely be overwhelming, especially if you're not used to the online world. I mean, even I get confused sometimes.
Oh, totally. But I think that's also part of the fun, right? It's like a puzzle, figuring out what all these new words and expressions mean.
Exactly. And the more you expose yourself to it, the easier it becomes to understand the nuances of online language. Let's take a word like slay, for example.
Oh, yeah. That's one I see everywhere. But it seems to mean more than just doing a good job, right?
It does. It's more about excelling, exceeding expectations, almost like dominating a particular task or skill. It's a way of expressing like extreme confidence and success.
Ah, so it's got that extra oomph to it.
Right. And then you have a word like low-key, which is also super popular online.
Low-key, yeah, I've seen that one too. I'm not sure I fully grasp the meaning, though.
It's a bit tricky. It basically implies a sense of understatement, almost like keeping something under wraps, not being too obvious about it. For example, if you said, I'm low-key excited about the weekend, it suggests a subdued excitement. Maybe you don't want to appear too eager.
Interesting. It's all about the nuance and the context.
Exactly. And then, of course, we can't forget about hashtags.
Those are everywhere. I feel like I'm constantly seeing hashtag TBT and hashtag FYP, but honestly, I'm not always sure what they mean.
Yeah, hashtags are like the secret code of social media. They help categorize content and make it easier to find. So hashtag TBT, that stands for Throwback Thursday. People use it when they're sharing old photos or memories from the past.
Ah, makes sense. So it's all about nostalgia.
Exactly. And then you have hashtag FYP, which is short for You Page. This one's mainly used on TikTok. People tag their videos with hashtag FYP, hoping to get featured on that highly personalized feed.
Oh, the For You page, the one that's like magically tailored to your interests.
That's the one. It's a way for creators to get more visibility and engagement.
So understanding these hashtags is almost like a strategic move, like learning the rules of the game.
Exactly. It helps you navigate the online world, understand trends, and engage with content in a more meaningful way.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties back to language learning. It's not just about knowing the definitions of words, it's about understanding how they're used in context, how they create meaning within this digital culture.
Precisely. And that brings us to memes, which are like the heart and soul of social media humor. I mean, who doesn't love a good meme, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But beyond the laughs, do you think memes can actually teach us something about language and culture?
Absolutely. Think of memes as like mini cultural lessons disguised as humor. They often tap into shared experiences, current events, and even pop culture references.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about the funny picture, it's about understanding the context and the message behind it.
Exactly. Take, for example, the on mute cat meme. You know the one, right? The cat sitting in front of a computer with the caption, when you're on mute but everyone's still laughing.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that one. It's hilarious. But I never thought of it as a cultural lesson.
Right. But it is. It reflects our shared experience of virtual meetings and those awkward moments when we forget to unmute ourselves. And it shows how language is used to create humor and relatability online.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. So by understanding memes, we're not just getting a good laugh, we're also gaining insights into how language is used in real-life situations, even virtual ones.
Exactly. Plus, memes often use visuals, which can be really helpful for language learners. Even if you don't understand every single word, You can often grasp the meaning through the imagery and context.
That's a great point. It's like a visual aid for language learning.
Exactly. And because memes are constantly evolving, they also offer real-time insights into how language is adapting and changing in the digital age.
This is all making so much sense. I'm starting to see social media in a whole new light.
Me too. It's really a fascinating world when you start to look beneath the surface.
But it's one thing to passively observe these trends. How do we actively use them to improve our English skills?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And that's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive. Well, there are actually tons of ways to turn those trends we were just talking about into active learning opportunities.
Oh, I'm all ears. Tell
Yeah.
me more.
Okay, so you know those voiceover challenges
Yeah.
where people try to mimic a funny audio clip or something?
Yeah, those are everywhere. I love watching those.
Right. Well, why not use that same idea to practice your pronunciation? Find a clip you like, maybe a scene from a movie or a popular TikTok sound, and just have a go at mimicking it.
That's such a good idea. It takes the pressure off, because you're not coming up with the words yourself. You're just focusing on how to say them.
Exactly.
Oh.
Plus, it's fun, so you're more likely to keep practicing. And then there are all those hashtag challenges where people share, like, mini lessons or tips about English.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those, like hashtag learn English with me or something like that.
That's the one. It's a great way to connect with other learners, pick up new vocabulary, and even get some grammar tips.
It's like having a built-in study group right there on your phone.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's a constant source of new material. Speaking of new material, what about all those short videos, like reels and stories?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I could scroll through those for hours.
Right. But instead of just scrolling mindlessly,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually use them for some serious listening practice. Just pay attention to how people are speaking, the rhythm, the intonation, the slang.
And so many creators use subtitles these days. It's like having a transcript right there on the screen.
It's a game changer. Right. It helps connect the spoken word with the written form, which can really boost comprehension. It's like a built-in language learning aid.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I'm starting to realize how much potential there is for language learning on social media.
Me too. But, we do have to be realistic. It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, right. I bet there are some potential downsides too.
Yeah, for sure. One thing to be careful of is relying too heavily on abbreviations and slang.
I can see that. It's tempting to just use those all the time because they're so common online.
Yeah, but in the long run, it can actually limit your vocabulary growth. You want to be able to express yourself in a variety of ways, not just in internet shorthand.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
Exactly. Use those abbreviations sparingly and make a conscious effort to expand your vocabulary with richer, more nuanced expressions.
Got it. What else should we be mindful of?
Another important point is to remember that not everything you see online is accurate, especially when it comes to language.
Oh, yeah, good point. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Exactly. So it's important to be critical of what you see, cross-reference information, and make sure you're getting your language advice from reliable sources.
It's like anything else online, you have to be a savvy consumer. Okay, so we've got to be careful about abbreviations and double-check our sources. What else?
The last thing, and this is a big one, is to be mindful of how much time you're spending on social media.
Oh, yeah, the dreaded time suck.
It's so easy to get caught up in the endless scroll, but it's important to make sure you're not neglecting other important aspects of language learning, like reading, writing, and speaking practice.
Right, social media should be a tool in your language learning toolbox, not the whole toolbox.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I've got a whole new perspective on how to use social media effectively for language learning.
Me too. And you know what? If you're really serious about this, I highly recommend seeking out accounts that are specifically designed for English learners.
Oh, like accounts that post grammar tips or vocabulary lessons.
Exactly. There are tons of amazing educators and language enthusiasts creating really engaging content online. It's like having a personal tutor in your pocket.
That's a great tip. So it sounds like we've got a lot of options here. We can practice pronunciation with voiceover challenges, connect with other learners through hashtag challenges, use short videos for listening practice, and even follow dedicated English learning accounts.
That's right. And the beauty of it is that you can choose the activities that you enjoy the most and that fit your learning style.
I'm already feeling inspired to revamp my whole social media routine.
I know, right? It's kind of exciting to think about all the possibilities.
It really is. And to think, we used to think of social media as, well, mostly a distraction from learning.
Yeah, it's easy to get sucked into that endless scroll of funny videos and, whatever's trending.
But now it's like, wait a minute, all that stuff can actually be a secret weapon for learning English.
It really is a game changer when you start looking at it through that lens.
Totally. It's like we've unlocked this hidden level of learning that's actually, well, fun.
And that's the key, isn't it? When learning is fun, you're way more likely to stick with it.
Absolutely. And with social media, it's like the learning never stops. There are always new trends popping up, new challenges to try, new vocabulary to discover.
It's a constantly evolving world, which keeps things interesting. You're never going to get bored.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the community aspect. Social media connects us with other learners from all over the world.
It's like a global classroom, right?
Yeah.
Where you can share tips, ask questions, and, just support each other on this language learning journey.
I love that. It's a reminder that we're not alone in this.
Exactly. And when you feel supported, you're more likely to stay motivated and keep pushing yourself.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I don't think I'll ever look at social media the same way again.
Me neither. It's amazing how something we use every day can have such a profound impact on our learning.
So, any last words of wisdom for our listeners before we wrap up?
Well, I'd just say don't be afraid to dive in and experiment. Explore different platforms, try out the challenges, connect with other learners, and see what works best for you.
It's all about finding what sparks your interest and makes learning fun.
Exactly. And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way. We've got tons of resources and links in the show notes to help you get started.
So, to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to embrace the power of social media and make it your language learning ally. Turn those scrolls into learning opportunities and watch your English skills soar.
And most importantly, have fun with it.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, happy learning.